You had some big days at Wrigley Field, didn't you?
Well, was the team that gave me opportunity to play every day, and I have some, good years in Chicago. Like I played there for a year, and I consider to have 4 good years there.
Eddie Cruz. Wrigley Field was your home a couple of years ago. You look like you're happy to be back with the Cubs.
Yeah, I'm very happy to be back with the Cubs because I think I got a better chance to play here than in Cincinnati, and I'm very happy to be here.
You told me the first few days of spring training that you might be in the best shape and felt better than you had maybe even since high school.
Well, I think I'm in the best shape of my major league career, which is going on 9 years, and so I feel real good about the season. I just hope that I can stay injury-free. I think if I stay injury-free, I'll play well.
You look around, and when you were there up in our booth at the end of the year and we were talking about things had to get better, some deals have been made. Do you like what you see?
Well, attitude-wise, I think we're going to have a good attitude this year, and that's going to help. And we have some talent. I think we can surprise some people. A lot of has been made of the Suter trade, and that we didn't get enough. But I just don't think people are being very fair when they think that you can go out and get more than 2 starting players plus a heck of a prospect as a 3rd player. You couldn't trade anywhere in the world and do that. You can see, well, right now the Houston Astros are trying like heck to trade away a pitcher, one of their pitchers, for just 1 hitter, and they can't do it. So it's tough to do. And I think under the circumstances we did well in that trade, and I think it's going to show.
You really got a chance to prove that you could handle it in the big leagues on a steady basis last year, didn't you?
Yeah, I got to play quite a bit, 120 ball games or something like that, 130. And I always felt that I could do a job. It was just getting a chance.
When you come to spring training in Mesa, you see a lot of familiar faces. Got a lot of Cub fans make this pilgrimage every year. Freddie Imke from Sonneman is one of those. He's been coming out here for years. Then during the season, he gets in that jalopy and comes up to Wrigley to see the Cubs. He's an auctioneer by trade. Let's use you and get a little pitch and get these fans, and you tell them how you can get them out to Wrigley this summer. Will you, Freddie?
All right, Milo, thank you. All right, sir, open the gates and come on in and let's go see the Cubs. You get your tickets now and come see the Cubs because we're sold on the Cubs in '81.
I'm always looking forward to the season going into it, and last year was a little different. We had a lot of problems going in. There were a couple guys that were unsigned, and there was a lot of trade talk going on. This year, I don't think that's going to be a problem. I think the team is pretty well set. We know who's going to be here and who's not, and I think everybody can have a little better attitude going into it, and I think that's going to maybe, I hope, get us off to a better start.
Mike Krukow, pitcher's got to be happy looking to 81, looking around, saying, hey, there's some guys out there going to catch that ball for me.
Can you believe it? You know, I tell you, Milo, it took me 6 months to forget last year, and I'm really excited about tomorrow opening day, and I think you hit the nail right in the head when you said we've improved ourselves. Most obvious improvement is our defense, and I know I can speak for myself and the other pitchers on the staff as we're ecstatic.
The Cubs made a deal. They got the left-hander they wanted. Ken Kravitz has joined the Chicago Cubs, and Ken, I'd like to ask you your reaction of the deal.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm very pleased. I'm coming to a club that that needs a lefty, possibly a left-handed starter, and it'll give me a great opportunity to pitch here. With the White Sox, we had so many lefties that it was getting a little hectic over there. I wasn't getting much chance to throw over the last year.
Raleigh Eastwick, in my opinion, the surprise of the Cubs camp this spring. He's had a great spring training, one that, in my opinion, that he will stay around the Chicago Cubs this year. Raleigh, has this been a surprise to you?
Not really, because I came to spring training wanting to make the club, and I started out over the wintertime trying to build myself up, get some strength, and work on some things, and I've had a positive attitude all winter, and it's carried over to the spring. So it doesn't surprise me that I've done well because I want to.
You've been working hard on a new pitch also.
Well, it's a forkball, split-fingered, whatever you want to call it, and I've been working on it since around May of '79. So it's been a good pitch for me, and gradually over the months, it's become a better pitch for me as I learn to control it. So it's going to be a good pitch, and it complements my fastball and slider.
You have been into meditation, just somewhat of a style of meditation prior to each game, have you not?
Well, it's not before a game. It's just it's a matter of being quiet for half an hour and trying to think positively about situations, and that's all I do. It's not, I don't know if you'd call it meditation or not, but it's just a situation where I try and take a half an hour out each day and in a quiet room or something and just try and be positive about everything and try and think good thoughts about my existence so I'll perform well.
Randy, you were always an aggressive young man as a football player and everything else, and you've already expressed the opinion of yourself that you want to be in there. What do you feel you have to do in order to be an established pitcher in '81?
I just got to go out there and get my basic pitches over and do the things I got to do. I'm not really a power pitcher, but if I get my sinker ball going, I'll be a good pitcher in '81.
And you've got an off pitch too, haven't you?
Yeah, I got my palm balls really helped me along a lot. And I think that's what got me to the big leagues. That 3 pitches now I have are what I need, and I think I can do what I can do with those pitches.
What about the bullpen now? Everybody says, well, Suter's gone. Where do we go? You can look down there and analyze some of those guys that are going to take up the slack, can't you?
I think so. I think we're looking for Tidrow to head that staff, and of course we got new kid and Smith and Cottle out there, and I think that's 3 of the better pitchers in the league, and I think they'll get a little leadership from Tidrow, and if these guys come through, I think we'll get just as many saves out of that bullpen as we got last year.
I've had a problem getting the ball over the plate later on, but I have to give a lot of credit to Les Miles, Randy Hundley, by my being in the bullpen. It helped me to concentrate on throwing strikes more.
I would think as you start a season, hoping it's going to be the first of many in the big leagues, that you would feel good about Les Moss being the pitching coach.
Yeah, I would have to give a lot of credit to him. I think he changed my delivery a little bit, and I have to give him a lot of credit to that.
What did he do?
Well, we really mostly I was rushing forward, a little bit, and by my being, so tall and everything, it helped. I was always high, with the ball and everything, and slowed me down somewhat from the. I was having problems from the windup, and it really helped me a lot by staying back and everything.
Last year really helped me a lot, coming into situations. And last September they brought me into situations to get saves and get wins. It's a big chore to fill Bruce Suter's shoes. He's probably one of the best, if not the best, reliever in baseball. But I think I'm ready. I hope I am, and for the Cubs' sake, I hope that we have a good year. And if the team plays well, I think it'll make it a little easier for the pitchers and relief pitchers. And we still got Dick Tidrow in the bullpen. He's going to help a lot, so he'll relieve some of the pressure.
Among those with more than a casual connection and interest in the Chicago Cubs is President Ronald Reagan. Jack Brickhouse found out why.
Mr. President, you broadcast the Cubs games in the 30s. What were the circumstances?
Well, in those days, Jack, a team didn't have an announcer that traveled more or less as belonging to the team and broadcasting them. I think there were as many as 6, 7, or 8 outfits broadcasting the same game. And I was sports announcer out in Des Moines. We'd gone to 50,000 watts and were the key Midwest station for, I excuse the term, the Red Network. That was when the networks had more than one network. So we had sold, and you didn't travel with the team. We did the home games of the Cubs, and then we went over to Comiskey Park and did the home games of the White Sox. And there were even a few teams in the major leagues then that wouldn't permit radio broadcasting because of those Depression days. They felt it kept people away. It's strange today. It was day ball then, daytime, no night ball. And it's strange to realize what that's done, because I remember many a game during the week. The weekend was where they broke even and made the profit. Many a game that you'd say there were only 2,000 or 3,000 people in the stands for the midweek games. But we had to do a telegraphic report. Couldn't afford the telephone lines.
We've all been through that one. As one who has overcome many obstacles yourself in your career and in your lifetime, what advice can you give to the long-suffering Cub fans who've been waiting for a pennant since 1945?
Well, I wish I could offer some hope. Of course, you know yourself that back when I was broadcasting, they were up there either winning the pennant or contending for it. As a matter of fact, one of my big memory thrills is that I was broadcasting at the time that the Cubs set a record to win the pennant that is still in the record books, has never been equaled. They came to a point in which the only mathematical chance they had to win the pennant was to win the last 21 games of the season, and they did it. And the final series was with the team they had to beat, the Cardinals, their great rivals. But the leagues have expanded, so there's so many more teams, therefore the competition for players and all, that you stop to think if every team took its turn, why, you've got about 12 years between times that a team's got a right to expect to win. Yeah. But I've never quite gotten over my love affair with the Cubs. I keep an eye on them, and I'm with those people that want to see them get back there.
You know, your inaugural address suggested, of course, less government interference during the administration. Does that kind of rule out the possibility, we'll say, of Uncle Sam at some point being involved in a baseball strike if it happens?
Well, now, having been a labor union president myself, the Screen Actors Guild, I don't want to see government, unless it is necessary for national security, to involve itself in labor management problems. On the other hand, if there is ever a time that at the request of labor and management, government can be of help, then I'd like to be of help.
Would you consider it a vote of confidence if at Wrigley Field this year they sold jelly beans instead of hot dogs?
Well, I don't know, but this sure has ballooned into something bigger than jelly beans. Might be interesting to see whether they'd go or not.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. And this is Jack Brickhouse, WGN Sports at the White House.
Independent Network News brought to you by Kellogg's Bran Flakes.
Here in the Midwest, Mayor Byrne was there along with Governor Thompson, and the mayor promised they'd work out the troubles of the RTA by the 7th inning. Don Harris was also there to get fan reaction on the start of the new season.
Uniforms were hung up with care, just like the kids' stockings at Christmas time. It was too early for the ball players when we arrived, but we arrived much too late to tape the first people lining up outside the bleacher gates. They started arriving at 7 last night. Apparently not knowing or not caring, all the seats had been sold in advance. Only 3,500 standing room only seats were available at $3 apiece. Opening day is a little different this year. Dave Kingman will be here, but wearing a Met uniform instead of a Cub uniform. His reception from Cub fans might not be very friendly.
I am glad he's gone.
How about it?
All he was patting his pockets with Wrigley's money and not doing anything for the ball club.
Yes.
And there's one other thing that shouldn't happen. The Cubs should have never traded Bruce Sutter.
Yes.
While the fans waited, the vendors set out their wares. This man told me he would be pleased if he could make $50 for his efforts. The Rays part of Rays Bleachers is gone, but the famous tavern, now owned by Mr. Murphy, is still here, and they were getting ready for a baseball-hungry and thirsty crowd. Back in the ballpark, the ground crew was picking up the tarp. The police detail and the Andy Frayne ushers were getting their final instructions.
Well, Don Harris has set the scene for what happened. Now, what happened? We all know.
I tell you, it was a beautiful day out there, and I saw a lot of good things. Unfortunately, the Cubs didn't win, but after all, the first game does not make the season, right, John?
You say you're a little optimistic as we start the season.
Well, yeah, I still am. I saw some good things out there today, too. Okay. We'll talk about it right after all this. The Cubs offense failed to show up for the start of the season as the Cubs lost to the Mets today by a score of 2-0. Other than that, it was a perfect opening day at Wrigley Field. The Cubs got a nice warm welcome from the 37,000 fans who packed the stands on this sunny, if slightly cool afternoon. The pregame hoopla featured bands and a rendition of the national anthem by actress Florence Henderson. The crowd also wished a loud get well to Presidential Press Secretary Jim Brady. Former Cub outfielder Rig Stevenson, a pretty fair hitter in his day, threw out the first ball, and then it was time to get down to business. This was Dave Kingman's first game against his old teammates. He went 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts. The fans booed Kingman when he was introduced. Listen to the reaction when he struck out.
Dave Kingman.
Kingman had only one memorable play in the field. He couldn't come up with this drive by Ken Reitz, and it turned into a triple. 1 of 3 hits for Reitz in his Chicago debut. Lee Mazzelli and Rusty Staub put the Mets in front in the 4th inning.
Fly ball left center. That ball's pretty well hit, and Henderson can't get it. It's in the basket for a home run. There's a drive to right. That ball's pretty well hit, and it is going to be off the top of the wall and in play. Rusty Staub is saying, I thought I had a home run. Now the umpires are getting together, and now they say that it did go out and came back on, and that'll bring Joey Amalfitano racing out. We might have a little rhubarb right here.
Well, there was no argument about the Cubs' defense. It saved a couple of runs for Rick Russell.
There's a ground ball. Let's see if we got a play at the plate. Here's Strain, and they've got it. Blackwell runs him down, puts it on him. No play at second.
Hit him on the fist, bounces towards short. This will be tough because he can run. Got him. What a beautiful play by DeJesus.
Some fine defense, but the Cubs couldn't bring any runners home. Pat Zachary got the win. Neil Allen earned the save as he struck out Tim Blackwell to end it with the Mets on top by a score of 2-0. Tomorrow's an open day. They will meet again on Saturday. Montreal beat Pittsburgh 6-5. Los Angeles and rookie Fernando Valenzuela shut out Houston. The Padres beat the Giants in 12 innings. The Yankees got
Boy, I'll say he paid a dividend already, and some good pitching again. 2 games in a row. We'll talk about it on the sports coming up. When 2 teams swap players, one of the things you look for is whether the players come back to haunt their old club. And that was the story today. Former Met Steve Henderson, the big hero as the Cubs beat New York. The score was 3-1. Chicago grabbed an early lead, but Doug Flynn tied it for the Mets in the 5th. Fair ball just did get inside that chalk line. They're going to wave Trevino. This will be a new game. The throw will come into 3rd. The game stayed tied until the 8th. The Cubs put Ivan DeJesus on second, but he sat there for a while due to the defense of Hubie Brooks. A great grab to rob Joe Strain. But Chicago wasn't through yet. 2 runners on, and Steve Henderson comes through. That's a slicing fly ball right field. It's going to take off and roll. 2 runs are going to score. DeJesus is in. Buckner will be waved. Henderson has tripled, and the Cubs are leading. Dick Tidrow nursed the 3-1 lead into the 9th. With 2 runners on, he struck out Mike Jorgensen. Then, with a crowd of about 12,000 cheering him on, Tidrow retired Mookie Wilson for the final out. And the first Cub win of the year. Tidrow the winner over Tom Hausman. The Mets and Cubs finish up at Wrigley Field tomorrow. The game will be carried right here on Channel 9 starting at 1. Around the National League, the Phillies win. Montreal and Pittsburgh.
Well, with the wind chill factor down around 0, the Cubs made 3 costly errors and dropped a 5-4 decision to Montreal. Even worse, Rick Russell had to leave the game with a split index finger. He could miss a few starts. Montreal already led 1-0 when the Expos got 2 more runs in the 2nd inning.
There's a ground ball, could be 2. Over to second for 1, the relay. And it's a bad throw, goes into the dugout, and that will bring in Larry Perry. There's a hot one, left field, base hit. Henderson up with the ball. Let's see if he can make this throw to the plate work. He is safe.
Steve Henderson helped put the Cubs on the board in the 4th.
That's a bouncer up the middle. That's going to bring a run home. Little Joe Strain pedaling. And Dawson overran that ball. Now he's going to play at third, and it's safe at third.
It became 3-2 in that inning. Then Mike Tyson batted for Russell in the 5th.
And he gets a hit down the left field line, slicing over. That's going to bring Blackwell home. And we're going to have a brand new game. And as the throw comes in, Parrish cuts it off, throws it second. Not in time.
Tyson came in a few minutes later on a single by Joe Strain off Montreal starter Steve Rogers, and the Cubs led 4-3. Bill Cullo pitched well until the 8th, and Dick Tidrow came on to face Andre Dawson and Gary Carter.
Line drive, center, base hit. They wave Scott. Thompson's throw will be cut off, and the game is tied. Ball got away. Dawson headed for second. He's going to streak for third. Strange throw will never be in time. Looping liner going to drop in right center. Expos lead 5-4.
And that's how it all ended. Stan Bonson got the victory. Elsewhere, Philadelphia got 2 runs in the 9th to send their game into extra innings. The Mets beat the Cardinals. Houston leads Atlanta in the 9th.
Come on out and join the fun. We did.
For the Cubs, they had Cy Young Award winner Steve Carlton on the ropes, but let him get away as Philadelphia beat the Cubs 4-3 in 10 innings. The Phillies led 2-0 before Hector Cruz and Barry Foote helped the Cubs take the lead.
2 balls and a strike. Carlton working in the 4th. There's a liner to left that could sail over Matthews, and does. It bounces high at the base of the wall. Morales will score. Infield up all the way around. There's a fly ball to left field that's pretty well hit. Going back is Matthews. He caught it. What a catch by Matthews, and Cruz will come home for the lead.
Philadelphia tied at 3-3 in the 6th inning, and then Manny Trio won it in the 10th.
Lee Smith fires away. There's a well-hit ball deep to left. That's way back there. Look out now. Look out. Gone. Home run. Trio. The ball game is over. Oh, no.
That guy's not supposed to be a home run hitter. Carlton was the winner. Lee Smith took the loss. We'll televise tomorrow's game from Philadelphia at 12:30. Elsewhere in the National League, Montreal beat the Mets. It was San Francisco over Atlanta. The Dodgers and Padres are scoreless in the 2nd.
White Sox lost to Boston in the rain. The Cubs were beaten 7-3 at Philadelphia to extend their losing streak to 6 games. But things were looking up when Mike Tyson batted for the Cubs in the 1st inning.
There's a well-hit ball deep to right. That's pretty well back there. Back. Hey, hey! What do you know? First home run of the year by a Chicago Cub.
And here's a good way not to preserve a lead. Rick Russell wild pitched Pete Rose across the plate. Then he repeated the trick a moment later to give the Phillies another run. Then Bill Buckner came up in the 3rd inning.
Pretty well hit, deep to right. Way back goes McBride. Hey! It's over the wall. Another home run for the Chicago Cubs. Buckner coming up with his first home run of the year.
The game is tied 3-3 in the 8th. Keith Moreland at bat for the Phillies.
To left field. That ball will take off into the corner. Trio will score. McBride will pull into 3rd, and it's a double for Moreland.
Well, that made it 4-3. It ended 7-3 with Nino Espinosa getting the win, Russell suffering the loss, and the Cubs were held to only 6 hits. Meanwhile, at Comiskey Park, the White Sox were 9-4 losers in the final game of their series with Boston. Rochester and Paul Tuckett wound up 9 innings tied at 1 apiece. After 18 innings, the game was still tied, but it was getting late. Both teams scored in the 20th inning. It was 2-2 after 27. It was still tied after 32 innings, shortly after 4 a.m. when they stopped. It's already the longest baseball game ever, and they are going to finish it in June. Well, the only thing longer than that game is the NBA playoffs, which provided one of the better animal mascots today. Kansas.
But very fast.
Well, in baseball, the big news tonight is from Cleveland, where Len Barker has become the first pitcher in 13 years to throw a perfect game. Barker pitched the Indians to a 3-0 win over the Toronto Blue Jays, did not allow a single base runner. He struck out 11 Blue Jays, never came close to a walk. Len Barker's third win of the season, certainly the biggest one of his career. Just a short time ago, I talked to Barker about the late-inning pressure of his big game.
My legs were shaking out there, but I just kept thinking to myself and kept concentrating on what I had to do, and I didn't give in, and I just kept throwing the ball.
You're a strikeout pitcher. Were you concentrating on strikeouts tonight?
Well, I knew I had a good curveball, and I was throwing it over, and I know I'm a strikeout pitcher, but I go for the strikeout pitches in certain situations. But tonight I just had an outstanding curveball and good fastball, and I just kept throwing everything over the plate.
Len, when was the first time during the ball game when you realized you were going for this perfect game?
Well, after I knew how things were going, and I had a perfect game going after the 6th and the 7th. But I didn't realize it. I knew I had it until the 9th, but you can't expect to go all the way unless you finish off the last 3 outs, and that's the most important thing.
Any of your teammates talked to you during the latter part of the game?
Well, really, Rick Manning's the only one. He came up and said, "Let's go get him." In the last inning, and that was great. He had the last out of the game, a fly ball to him, and that's outstanding. He's been doing an outstanding job for us all along, and people have been getting over on him, but he's been doing a great job, and everybody on this staff, pitching staff, and all the other ball players will tell you.
What happened after you completed your game? What happened out there on the field?
Everybody just went crazy. It was great. It's just like being a little kid again. He's jumping up and down and jumping on everybody. It was fantastic. One of the best feelings I've ever had.
And that was Len Barker. He pitched a perfect game for the Cleveland Indians just a few minutes ago. The news from Houston, bad for the Cubs. Joe Niekro, the shutout, as the Astros topped the Cubs 5-0. Houston got all they needed in the 4th.
Them 2 and Caudle in trouble. Smash, fair ball down in the right field corner. That'll score 2. And Alan Ashby with his second straight hit and a 2-run double. Here's the first pitch now to Poole, and there's a ball that's going to drop in left center. And another run is in, and they've got runners on the corners.
So Niekro gets the win over Bill Caudle. Saturday, the teams go at it again. The Cubs will hope for better times. At Comiskey Park tonight, the White Sox had troubles of their own. They lost to Texas 2-1. Things started out well enough for the White Sox. First inning, Rich Dotson on the strikeout. Carlton Fisk with the bullet throw.
Some wonderful news from Wrigley Field today.
I knew it would happen sooner or later. Didn't I tell you last night? I said today was it. Today was the day.
You kept saying that, though. I mean, every day for the last month you've been saying
that. Today was the day. Now, tomorrow will be the day. A 2-game winning streak starting tomorrow.
We're on a roll, Bill.
We're on a roll. Let's keep it up. We'll have all the sports news for you, including that exciting Cub victory right after this. Well, first, you hockey fans, let's go to the big news. Good news from Wrigley Field, where the Cubs snapped an 8-game losing streak with a 5-1 victory over the Reds. Randy Martz went all the way. Leon Durham had 4 hits, including the big one with the Cubs already in front, 1-0.
That's hit. Way back there. Back. Hey, hey! It's another. 3 runs in for the Cubs. Woo, boy.
Did he gulp that fastball or didn't he? That was a low fastball. And now the Cubs are enjoying a 4-0 lead. Look at those happy Cubs at the plate. Woo-wee!
Martz had a 1-hitter until the 6th and a shutout until Larry Bittner batted in the 7th.
There's a line shot, center field, base hit. Here comes Foster rounding third, and Nixon says, keep coming. The Cubs concede the run. Bittner has batted 1 in.
But Martz pitched out of trouble and sailed into the 9th.
Ground ball, that ought to do it. Strains up with it. Here's the throw, and this ball game is all over. Cubs win it.
It was the first complete game for the Cubs this season. Montreal comes to Wrigley Field over the weekend starting tomorrow. Just one other game in the National League. That's today, right?
I did. That's been mentioned over here only once on the program.
You told me twice.
No, just once, Bill. The millennium, you're slowing it down, Bill. The millennium has arrived. The Cubs and the Sox win.
That's right.
Now, let's get the sports.
That's right. The Cubs and the Sox won. It's a big day, and we're going to have all the highlights for you. Great day for Chicago baseball. The Cubs have their first two-game winning streak, and the White Sox continue to swing those hot bats. Steve Trout got the win today as the Sox beat the Angels 10-2. In 3 games at Anaheim, the White Sox scored 34 runs, and they have won 7 of their last 8 games. Bill Buckner was the hero as the Cubs beat Montreal 6-2, but he was injured going into third base on a triple. Buckner got things started in the first inning.
There's a well-hit ball, right center. That's going to do it. In comes the first run as Joe Strange scores easily, and Buckner goes into second.
The Expos had Bill Caudill on the ropes in the second inning until this unusual double play.
Here we go on a squeeze.
Hey, the squeeze.
Now Buckner will run for the double play.
And Buckner is going to run over there and make that unassisted double play.
Buckner to the rescue once again.
Change-up line, fair ball, kicked off the wall, headed for the wagon gate in the corner. 2 runs are going to score. DeJesus is home, Strain is home, and Buckner pulled a hamstring, but he's going to make it. Buckner's in pain at third.
Well, Buckner had to leave the game with that pulled hamstring. He'll be out for a while. Tim Wallach pulled Montreal within a run.
Fly ball, well hit, way back. Look out, say goodbye to that one. Tim Wallach. Hitting the first pitch, pounds it way out of the ballpark.
Well, that's not such a big deal. Leon Durham proved that in the 8th inning.
Here's the 2-1. There's a high drive to right. Going, ready, and over everything.
Hey, hey.
A home run by Leon Durham. Boy, that's the way to put some insurance up on that board for Tidrow.
Woo, boy.
Pittsburgh comes to town tomorrow. The Pirates beat the Phillies today.
They were tremendous today, Bill.
They certainly were. It was an amazing ball game, and I'm sure that we'll be watching that game probably the middle of the winter. I'm sure that Jack Rosenberg will pull that one out and show it to the fans on some cold winter day, right?
He's probably listening. He listens every Monday night.
Really exciting. So, Jack, if you're listening, you ought to do it, right? Good idea.
I think it's a good idea.
And we're going to show you why right after this. Well, people used to ask if the Cubs would ever win again. Now they're wondering if they'll ever lose. The winning streak stands at 3 after a miracle 10-9 victory over Pittsburgh. 11 innings as the Cubs overcame an 8-run deficit. The Pirates led 2-0 with Phil Gardner at bat in the 3rd.
High fly, center field. That should bring one in. That's way back to the wind's got it. Look out, is off the vines. Non-catchable as 2 more runs come in, and here comes Garner racing for 3rd. No play on him. Look out.
And look out for Omar Moreno in the 4th with a score 5-0.
Working the left-hand batting Moreno. A low pop into shallow center. That's going to drop. Go behind him, and the run will score. And Omar Moreno will take off for 3rd. You ever see an antelope in a baseball outfit? We just saw one run around the bases with the name of Omar Moreno. Thompson will make it be in there. He'll take it and get on. Checked his swing, and excuse me, base hit. It's going to score 2. He tried to pull the bat back and ends up with a 2-run double.
8-0 in the 4th. The Cubs seemed out of it, but not for long.
A bouncer to short. Great play! Morales scores. Blackwell's going to score. There'll be runners at 2nd and 3rd, and how about that?
It was 8-4 after that, but the Pirates got another run here and went into the 8th inning, leading 9-4. Then Steve Henderson opened the bottom of the 8th.
Cubs have been out hit 10-6. There's a high fly ball right center. That ball is hit deep. Center fielder back, and it's in. The stays in the basket. Henderson hits an opposite field home run off Roden.
It became 9-6 on this play. Then Bill Buckner, bad leg and all, came up as a pinch hitter with 2 men on.
Lined into right center, a base hit. It could score 2. Thompson's home, 9-7. coming home. 9-8, and another double for Billy Buckner. Holy Toledo, is he hot.
Buckner was hot, but Henderson was hotter. Steve came up again in the 9th inning.
Fly ball, right field. Back goes Easler. It made it! Hey! It made it! It's a brand new ball game!
On to the 11th, a bases loaded for Scott Thompson.
Fly ball, left field. It's going to go over his head. It's a base hit. The Cubs win! The Cubs win! The Cubs win! Woo, boy! Talk about a happy group of Cubs. Tidrow gets the win. Loses the loser. This goes into Ripley's book. This is a believe it or not game. Trailing 8-0. Trailing 9-4. And the Cubs have won it.
And the series continues tomorrow. They'll try to make it 4 in a row. The White
Even though the Sox lost, and that's nothing to smile about, but that game this afternoon at Wrigley Field, that's got to keep you smiling for several days.
Well, I tell you, when you're struggling, and you know the Cubs have been, well, when you beat a fellow who's come and heralded as the baseball story of the year so far, you've had some fun, and we'll have the highlights coming up in just a moment. After days of fanfare and press conferences, Fernando Valenzuela finally made his Wrigley Field debut today. The Cubs were in awe of the young rookie. They didn't show it for a while. Chicago knocked Del Toro out of the box with a big 4th inning and are out to an 11-5 win over the Los Angeles Dodgers. L.A. scored 2 for Valenzuela in the first, then patted the lead in the second.
Another one for Landreau. Boy, he is swinging that bat. 1 run is in, and a bad throw at second. Everybody's safe. There's a drive, left field, base hit. 1 run is in for sure. Here comes Landreau. He's being held up.
Fernando held the Cubs scoreless through the first, but Hector Cruz ripped him in the second.
Well hit, deep to left by Cruz. Back. Hey!
4-1 Dodgers in the 4th when the Cubs blasted their way to a lead.
Looping liner over the head of the second baseman. And the throw, he put ahead of play at second base. As the young left-hander brings it to Jody Davis. Line drive, base hit, right field, 4-3 game. Lascano will take a token turn. Good thing he didn't challenge Guerrero there. Tyson switch hitting these days. And he drives one to left. Going. Ball park, another home. Out of here. Runner going. Fly ball deep into right field. The ball is going to be up against the ivy. DeJesus will come home. And Buckner will be into second with a double.
7-4 after 4 and 8-5 when Chicago batted in the 8th.
There's a high pop down the right side. Garvey out, right fielder in. The ball's going to be, it is dropping. Reach will score. Waller will come to third. Leading 9-5 at the moment. There's only 1 out. Looping fly ball, left field drops, base hit. 1 run will score. DeJesus will score right behind Waller. And the Cubs are having fun at Wrigley Field.
11-5 the final. Lynn McLaughlin was credited with his first win of the season. For Valenzuela, a rather disappointing Saturday afternoon.
A federal judge chucked the ball right back to the major league players, and now all it will take to mar the season is 1 strike. And here's our sports editor, Jerry Girard, to explain the latest. Jerry?
Well, it got down to being a matter of opinion. In the opinion of the National Labor Relations Board, the owners were unfair in bargaining because they refused to open their books. So they asked the federal judge to issue an injunction which would have averted a strike for at least a year. But that judge looked over the evidence and said he didn't agree. He thought the owners were fair. Therefore, he announced today, no injunction. Within 2 hours after the judge's decision, the players issued an ultimatum. No agreement tomorrow, we strike on Friday.
We don't want to strike, but it seems that it's inevitable right now that a strike will take place on Friday. And as far as the length of the strike, we do not know. It could last a minimum of 10 days, and the maximum we do not know.
Right now,
just like last year, both sides are showing their strength. You know, the players are all together. They were unanimous. And the owners are all together. They're behind Ray Grebe, who's their spokesman. And they're both shooting a lot of darts at each other, saying, you know, this is the way it's going to be. The owners are saying we're having conversation. The players are saying, look, we won in the courts. And that's the way the American way. You go to court and you win. We're not going to give up our rights just because you say so.
Many players said as early as spring training, they felt the owners wanted to push them into a corner. Late today, we asked the owner's negotiator about it.
There's the inference in that we want a strike or a long strike, and that's blatantly an error. 26 clubs want to play baseball. I talked to the White Sox this morning. The Yankees are in town, hoping it's not going to rain tonight. Everybody wants the game to go on, and that's why I said in our prepared statement that regardless of what happens, we will continue to meet at the bargaining table, try and achieve a settlement.
Then someone asked him where the whole issue stands now.
Bottom of the ninth.
Tomorrow, both sides meet again. Millions of people across the country will be asking throughout the day, how they doing? Pat?
Thanks, Jerry.
Bill, there is something in the air. The Cubs win 2 today, right? And the umpires out at Comiskey Park are wearing funny uniforms tonight.
You know what I think the umpires are doing out at Comiskey Park? I think they wore players' uniforms tonight so that Jimmy Pearsall wouldn't know they were there.
Maybe so, but he knew, I bet.
He knew. We're going to talk about that story, but first we have a lot of other news. There is a lot of baseball news tonight. The biggest story is a possible player strike. A federal judge has refused to grant an injunction that would have delayed. I was out at Sox Park tonight, and I got the feeling there's going to be a strike. Pete Rose earned another mention in the record books tonight. He singled in the first inning against Houston, giving him 3,630 hits in his career. And that ties Stan Musial's National League record, but the Phillies don't play tomorrow, so if there is a strike, Pete will have to wait for his chance to pass Stan the Man. Meanwhile, the White Sox are trying to hang on to the lead at Comiskey Park. They're in front of the Yankees by a score of 6-2. They're in the 6th inning. New York came into this game with a 9-game winning streak. Never showed up, so they wore these modified White Sox uniforms. It hardly looks like a fair fight in this sequence. Later in the inning, Wayne Nordhagen. Meanwhile, the Cubs, who are averaging less than 2 wins per week, got 2 wins in one afternoon today. They beat San Francisco 2-1 in the conclusion of a suspended game. Then they won the regular contest 7-4. In Game 1, the Cubs carried a 2-run lead into the 7th inning when the Giants broke up the shutout.
Line shot, right center. That could be a gapper. It is. Ooh, look out. Here comes maybe a run. Darrell Evans rounds third. He says he's going to keep trying, and here's a play at third now on Herndon, and he is safe, and he's going to try to score. Here's the throw to the plate. They should have him. He is out.
That saved the game. A great throw by Raleigh Eastwick, and it ended 2-1. Mike Lum started things off in Game 2.
Fly ball, well hit to right center. Way back. Hey, hey! Attaboy, Mike! Attaboy!
The Giants went in front 2-1. Then Bill Buckner opened a big 3rd inning.
Lines that one out into left center. That ball's going to drop and go right against the wagon gate. Cookie's going to wave Dillard home. We've got a tie game, and it's a double for Buckner. Lined into right field, a base hit, a tomahawk job. Buckner's home. Lum is headed for 3rd, and he will make it. Morales now with that hit is back over 300 at 303. Fly ball, left center. Now you've got a runner at 3rd. Who's going to catch it? They collide, and that's going to give Lum a chance to come home, and Morales will tiptoe into 2nd.
And it ended 7-4. Dick Tidrow got the save in each game for the Cubs. They'll wind up the series tomorrow. The Cubs going for 3 in a row. Let's hope they make it.
He's not alone in that. Some other reviewers have given it also a tremendous review. We'll have to see that, Bill.
It's like to get in a cockpit and have a snake like that.
I don't think I'd get in that airplane, Bill. To strike or not to strike is the question this evening.
I tell you, it's still up in the air. Nobody seems to know. We've had all kinds of rumors and all day long, and now they are still in negotiations in New York. There is one thing, though. The San Diego Padres are here in Chicago. The Padres as a team are here. So if there is a game tomorrow, San Diego will be ready. But right now, that's a big if. We'll have all the sports for you right after this. There be baseball tomorrow, we still don't know for sure. The players and the owners are still meeting in New York at this hour. If they go home without a settlement, the players will go on strike tomorrow. We get more in this late report from the Cable News Network.
Now that we are nearing the 11th hour, the real negotiations are beginning. Everything up until now has been pretty much politics, one sort or another. Tonight, they went at it again. After a 5-hour break, both sides went back to the bargaining table. For the owners, their chief negotiator, Ray Grebe, responded to a comment by Marvin Miller, calling their proposal as insignificant.
Then they better come up with a better idea or we'll have a strike, won't we?
Various players are still in town. They have not been allowed in the negotiations as yet. They're waiting to hear the future of their games tomorrow as well.
I was trying to correct an erroneous story that appeared on television and heard on radio. Something to the effect that things were looking up and players ought to count on playing tomorrow, and of course that is exactly the opposite of the truth. I don't know where that story started. As all of you know, when we had the press conference before, we reported that the situation looked bleak, and that the only recommendation that has been given to the players is that they do not travel to the next scheduled city unless
Am I going to tag or are they going to ask
going home or that city is closer to home than where they are.
There is still some hope. It looked bad a year ago until a compromise was reached, you may recall, around 3 o'clock in the morning. That compromise pushed the free agency question back 1 year, and it is still a problem tonight. Well, our Chicago teams are going out with a bang if there is a strike. Tonight, the White Sox held on for a thrilling 3-2 win over the Yankees. Doug Bird lost his first game since 1978. New York led 1-0 when Greg Luzinski batted in the bottom of the first inning.
It's a half swing, base hit, right field. Here comes Fisk. There goes Luzinski to second. The throw, wild. Here comes the run. He's going to score. Here's Luzinski pulling up a third. Holy cow!
The Sox led 2-1 when Harold Baines provided what proved to be the winning run.
3 balls, 2 strikes, a pitch. Bouncing ball, fired on the first baseline. The run is going to score. And it's 3-1.
The Yankees fought back, but the Sox came up with a big defensive play.
Bouncing ball to the right side, and Piniella has done it again. The Yankees score on a little dribble to the right. Here's a throw to third. Out at third. Harold Baines throwing out Jerry Mumphrey with a perfect strike from right field, and that ends the inning.
More trouble in the 8th, but rookie Kevin Hickey pitched out of trouble.
Run at second base. Here's the pitch. Hey, struck him out. Look at Hickey running off the field.
Lamar Hoyt came out of the bullpen to wrap it up in the 9th. The Sox won it 3-2, and now they'll wait to see if they should go on to Milwaukee. And the Cubs won again, beating San Francisco 6-1. The Cubs swept a series for the first time this season. Randy Martz got the win with help from Doug Capella and from some shaky defense by the Giants in the first inning.
Called for a team meeting, which they did have. There's a ground ball.
And it takes a hop on Lemaster. The Cubs are going to go out in front. And there goes Dillard racing for second. He is saved.
Ground ball bouncing to the first baseman. And safe all around. The run scores as Darrell Evans comes in, loses his balance, fielding the ball. Well, let's play with that analogy a little more here, too. There's a fair ball into the corner. Here comes Lum across, and Cookie says, keep on coming, Jerry. He scores.
A big thrill for rookie Jody Davis. He got his first Major League homer in the 6th inning.
Hey, that's it. Back.
Hector Cruz finished the scoring with this home run in the 8th inning, and the Cubs won it 6-1 to make it 3 victories in a row, 5 wins in their last 6 games. If the Cubs play this weekend, they'll be hosting San Diego. Now, around the majors, Montreal Sheffield.
Well, here we are, Bill. If it hadn't been for the strike, undoubtedly we'd be watching White Sox baseball about now, or at least the end of the game. There'll be no baseball tomorrow, the next day. Not until Monday or Tuesday.
And also, I wonder what's going through Doug Bird's mind tonight, because here, poor Doug Bird, he's a pitcher for the New York Yankees, and today he gets hit by a strike, and he finds out that they're having a strike, and then lo and behold, he finds out he's traded to the Chicago Cubs. So I hope the guy comes through, but he's got a lot going through his mind too. Very big day for him. We're going to have all the sports for you right after this. In baseball, there's a full schedule tonight, so let's go right to the baseball scoreboard. The Cubs and the Padres did not play. Houston and the Mets took the day off. Pete Rose did not break Stan Musial's record because Philadelphia didn't play either. In the American League, the White Sox did not play at Milwaukee, but the Sox remain one game behind Texas because the Rangers didn't play. And the Oakland-Cleveland game won't be getting underway a little later on the West Coast. Of course, we have a baseball strike tonight. There were no games today, and there won't be any this weekend, and there may not be any baseball for a long time to come. Wrigley Field was all dressed up, but it was no place to go. The park was empty except for some reporters and a few ball players who had stopped by to clean out their lockers. No one knows how long this will last or which side will give in first.
If you were a betting guy, who would you bet on right now, the players or the owners?
Well, I know the players are not going to. I doubt very seriously if they make any more concession they did yesterday. I thought they made a good offer where they, would protect just 35 guys and have a chance, give the teams a chance to, to pick one of the person off the roster. And I thought that's more than I thought that the players would offer. I thought it's very fair, and I don't foresee the players going further than that. So, as far as I'm concerned, it could go the rest of the year.
If the strike really does last all year, some players will be able to afford it, but others, like rookie Jim Tracy, are afraid they won't be able to pay their bills. Veteran Bobby Bonds says money is not the important thing.
Well, I don't think that a strike, regardless of where it is good. We believe in something as a Players Association that we feel is right and something that we have to stick by. But the fans that enjoy the game of baseball, I think it's more heartening to them because it takes away something that they love and something that they enjoy. But on the other hand, they must realize that this is our profession. This is the way that we support our lives, and it's very depressing to us. Of course, I'd rather be on a baseball field and playing the game as opposed to sitting at home and just running and trying to figure out when am I going to play. But I'm part of the association, and I back it 100%.
For the records, at least, the Players Association is standing firm. There was a brief meeting in New York today, but there was no movement by either side.
Continues to be the position of the 26 Major League clubs that this is an unnecessary strike. That the arrangement reached last May, which provided the best professional athlete's contract in sports, is one that we should all be proud of, and that this minor adjustment in one paragraph in the free agency clause, which does not deal at all with the question of free agency, but merely compensation, is out of proportion and really is not a strike issue.
If it wasn't a strike issue, I suspect he wouldn't have procured $50 million strike insurance a year ago.
There are some big differences philosophically as far as how we're going to get there. This is going to take some time.
If and when the season does resume, Rick Russell will be wearing a different uniform. The Cubs traded the ace of their pitching staff today. He's off to the Yankees in exchange for pitcher Doug Bird, minor league infielder Pat Tabler, and something close to $400,000, which of course is a lot of money. Herman Frank sees this deal as a step toward rebuilding, but he hates to see Vic Russell go.
Listen, you always have regrets about trading a quality player like Rick Russell. He's a class guy, and I can't say enough emotion about how I feel about trading him.
When Rick left the ballpark, he was pretty well broken up, tears in his eyes.
He was? Well, then it was two of us.
Russell didn't want to talk to anyone when he left the ballpark today. He was extremely upset, although there have been rumors, of course, that he would be traded. Rick is 4-7 this season, but he's a better pitcher than his record shows in 1981. He'll join former teammate Barry Foote in Yankee pinstripes, and he could be a star in New York. Bird hasn't lost a decision since 1978. He had 18 straight victories until he was beaten by the White Sox last night. He's not been a starting pitcher very long. He is 31 years old. The key to the deal may be the minor league infielder, Pat Tabler, and if the Cubs decide that he doesn't have what it takes, they have the right to return him to the Yankees and to take another ball player. Now, let's get away from baseball for a moment.
No progress again today in the talks, Bill.
It's not going to be a long strike. No baseball for quite some time. We'll talk about it right after this. Meanwhile, Jack Brickhouse, what has he been doing? Well, Jack Brickhouse was in Washington making President Reagan an honorary member of the Broadcast Pioneers. The president got a gold microphone and some other keepsakes.
And my function was to give the president a Chicago Cub cap and an autographed Cub baseball, because after all, he was the Cubs broadcaster some time ago. And before we even got into that, when he saw me, the first thing he said was, "Well, your ball club has been sold. That's the news up here." Boy, they really grabbed onto it with all the things that is going on in President Reagan's mind right now in his life. Yet, one of the things uppermost in his mind today was the sale of the Chicago Cubs.
Sox nothing, Cubs nothing. We'll get DeHalicus that lines that one foul into the lower boxes way down in the right field corner. He literally outran that ball. And that's the defensive play of the night for the White Sox. Oh, LaFleur's made two pretty fair catches in deep left center. No runs, no hits, nobody left. Two perfect innings so far for Lamar Hoyt. And we move now to the bottom half of the sixth inning here on the south side of Chicago with no score in the ball game. The Cubs nothing and the White Sox nothing. Well, Cub manager Joey Malfitano, and that gets him out of the inning. No runs, one hit, one left, and we've completed 6 innings here at Comiskey Park in Chicago on a beautiful night for a baseball game. Look at that beautiful backhanded stab by Hernandez. After 6 innings of play, the White Sox nothing, the Cubs nothing.
Here's a drive by Morales way back. LaFleur, sensational catch. Holy cow. How about that play?
That's a major league play. And, of course, the Sox have been very sharp on defense tonight. And there's a standing ovation for Ron LaFleur because he went back to get that ball, and he did. He did not shy away from the wall at all.
Watch it.
That was a good slide in the middle of the plate, and LaFleur was not playing that beat you judge yourself. That's a fine play over the shoulder play. Hands before Chet Lemon could ever drop the bat. This is a wicked shot right at third base.
Well, Willie Keeler, whoever he was, put it right. The idea of this game is to hit them where they ain't. Rusty Kuntz chasing it down. Look at DeJesus run. He's going to get 3. The throw to third. He's in standing up. DeJesus triple to center.
We can look at it again, Harry. If he got the ball he wanted, this is a fastball in the middle of the plate. He sort of slapped it. He really didn't drive the ball, but he hit it a long ways with the wrist. And, of course, once that ball threaded the needles in the outfield, with his speed, there's a stand-up triple.
Bouncing ball. Here's the old-timer game. A double into the left field corner by Minnie Minoso. That led to the 3 runs that the old White Sox old-timers made to win that game, the first game played tonight. Now watch Billy Williams in right field. One-handed shoestring catch, a la Lou Brock.
Yeah, it made it look easy.
High fly ball, deep center. Gonna be caught. Kuntz at the warning track. So, no runs for the Cubs in the ninth. 2 with players, 1 left. Now I want to see what happens here. That is the end of the ball game. It ends in a 0-0 tie. Crowd, of course, wants to see more action. The umpires did a great job. A well-played ball game. And Lou and I will be back now in a moment. Harry Carey and Lou Brock back at Comiskey Park. And the Sox take on the Cubs in a special city series.
Meanwhile, at the main stage, Crystal Gale, who packed in large afternoon crowds, talked about performing in Chicago.
It's great. You know, I've performed in Chicago several times, and the audience is lovely. You know, they're people that they really like entertainment, and when they're having such a good time, it makes you have a good time.
They really did. It was an exciting game, I'll tell you that. And they've won the bragging rights. Good one out at Wrigley Field between the Cubs and Sox. I'll have the highlights coming up along with a report on the Bears' disappointing preseason opener. In Saturday sports, a day of tune-ups. The biggest one, the Cubs and White Sox tuning up for the resumption of the regular season with Game 2 of their home-and-home charity series. Wrigley Field, the site for the second game of the set. A crowd of better than 21,000 saw the Cubs nip the White Sox 4-3. Bobby Bonds put the Cubs on top in the first inning.
There's a base hit to right. The Cubs are going to draw first blood in this series. All right, DeJesus crossed the plate.
Jody Davis padded the lead in the second inning.
Pretty well hit, deep to left, back, off the wall. Not quite a home run, but a run is in.
The Sox got one back in the sixth.
Fly ball, left field, very deep back there against the wall. Could bring one in. Fisk rounds third. Winkle says keep coming. DeJesus fires to the plate on the relay. He is saved.
In the bottom of the inning, Leon Durham up the Cub lead to a pair.
Well hit, deep to right. Hey! Woo, boy!
Mike Squires tied things in the seventh.
That looks like trouble. It is a base hit down to the right field corner by Squires, and 2 runs are coming in. Morrison is in, Almonds across the plate, and we have ourselves a brand new ball game.
But in the bottom half, the Cubs got the game winner.
Ground ball. That is to the left of second. Gobbled up by Pryor, the throw. The ball gets away at first base, and the run is going to score as Blackwell races across, and the Cubs have the lead once more, 4-3.
The Southsiders put a runner on base in the eighth with Bill Cottle facing Greg Lazinski. The Bull put a charge in one. Oh, it is well hit. But Bobby Bonds gave you a preview of what he may show fans in the second season. A great catch against the Ivy. Cottle gets the win as the Cubs top the Sox 4-3.
Tonight, Chicago board meeting that may resolve for the moment the board's financial problems. Villalobos said the new plan would bring $60 million into the board's coffers, close to the amount the board needs to balance the budget. President Raul Villalobos told board members the new plan was legal and would require no new legislation.
Baseball's biggest story is in Philadelphia, where Pete Rose got the base hit just a few minutes ago that broke the National League record set by Stan Musial. We'll show it to you in a couple of minutes. But first, the Chicago story. The Cubs lost 7-5 in 13 innings, but the White Sox got home runs from Greg Lazinski and Harold Baines in a 7-1 win at Boston. We'll televise Game 2 of that series tomorrow evening. At Wrigley Field, 8,000 fans who had been without baseball for 2 months got 4 extra innings today, but the Cubs still dropped the decision to the New York Mets. The Mets got a run in the fourth,
when Mike Krukow, and you'll watch him here, he balked, and Mookie Wilson comes in from third, but it was the only mistake by Krukow in 6 strong innings. New York starter Mike Scott was just as tough. The Cubs were scoreless until Bill Buckner batted in the 7th.
Way back, 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 back. Hey! It's a brand new ball game.
The ball. And a long ball game. It was still 1-1 in the 11th when Dave King batted with 2 men on.
First pitch to Kingman. Drives one to left. The ballpark will never hold it. Waveland Avenue. Eastwick's first offering was up, and Kingman jumped all over it.
But the Cubs came back in the bottom of the inning.
Gets away. Here comes Blackwell. He will score. And Bobby Bonds, the man on the spot here, 2-2. There's a drive. Left field, left center, and it will be off the top of the ivy. The base is scored. Durham's going to race to the plate. He will be tie game. Bobby Bonds is coming to third. Bobby Bonds just missed driving one out of here. Holy Toledo, what a comeback for the Cubs. Their backs are to the wall. With 2 outs, Bobby Bonds delivers, and it's tied to 4-4.
The Mets regained the lead in the 12th. Lynn McLaughlin grooved a 3-0 pitch for Mike Jorgensen.
There's a drive into right. That's a base hit. So, once again, the Mets have the lead in the ball game. One thing about both these ball clubs, they're battlers. They don't give up.
Could the Cubs come from behind again? Ty Waller doubled, and that brought up Timmy Blackwell.
There's a ground ball to the right. Base hit. That's going to tie it up. It got past Jorgensen, one of the better glove men in the game. And look out. Blackwell is out at second base. I wonder if Timmy Blackwell thought that he had won the ball game with that hit.
He did not win it with that hit. Ellis Valentine won it with this one.
Harris has completed his work in their bullpen. Lined into left center. The ball's going to roll out to Lum in left center. Youngblood will come home. The Mets have recaptured the lead.
The Mets went on to make it 7-5, and the Cubs are out of comeback, so that's how it ended. They'll meet again tomorrow. Now let's go to the scoreboard. Pete Rose got base hit number 3,631. That breaks Stan Musial's National League record. Mark Littell is the pitcher, and here comes the big play.
The strike one pitch to Rose. Bouncer to the hole. There it is.
Stan Musial was among the 60,000 on hand to see his record broken. He was among the first people on the field to shake Pete's hand. Ty Cobb's major league record is next if Pete can find about 4 more good years.
$1 million sale price. Phase 1 and Phase 2 be enough to complete Phase 3, the signing of the union contract. Every 1% increase in teacher salaries means the board must find an additional $8 million. And despite the new funds, even the union admits that much more money is going to be hard to find. At the Board of Education, Elizabeth Brackett, WGN News.
And 3 goose eggs.
That's for the Cubs.
The Cubs.
Sox lost tonight. The Sting won. They salvaged something for the city. So we'll take a look at all of those coming up on the sports. At Wrigley Field, the Cubs dropped their 3rd straight to the Mets, 7-4, took 10 innings. No lead has been safe in this series. The Cubs and Mets traded comebacks again today with the visitors getting the last laugh. The Cubs got things started, though. Bobby Bonds faced Ed Lynch in the 2nd inning.
He's had some tendonitis in his elbow. They weren't sure he could get loose today.
Well hit, deep to left, back, 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 back. Hey! Bobby Bonds put it in the seats. Atta boy, Bobby.
The Cubs led 2-1 in the 7th when Lee Mazzilli stepped in against Doug Capilla.
Ground ball, base hit, slams it past Weeks. 2 runs are going to score. The wild pitch really hurts now. And once again, the Mets take the lead.
The Mets increased the lead to 4-2, and the Cubs turned to pinch hitter Mike Lum.
High fly, right field, back, back, back. He did it!
Disaster in the 10th, though. Tidrow pitching to Dave Kingman.
Fly ball. Right center. Bonds over. Oh, wait a minute. He and Cruz appear to get things a little mixed up, and Kingman is racing for third base here. And he is in there, standing up. Fly ball, that's going to give him the lead. That's way out there to right center field, and it again escapes Bobby Bonds and goes to the vines. And here comes another triple. He's in there, safe.
And that's Ellis Valentine, who drove in the winning run. The Mets won it 7-4 and will finish the series tomorrow at 1:15 with the leadoff man. The Cubs got their first victory of the second season, and pitcher Doug Bird got his first victory as a Cub out at Wrigley Field today. Bird pitched 5 innings and left with a 6-1 lead. And that's exactly the way it ended. Bird's only mistake came in the 4th inning.
There's a drive to left. Well hit. That's trouble. That is gone. Clear to the back row of the left center field bleachers. Brooks didn't have a home run all year till he came here. Now he's had 2 in this series.
But everything else was coming up Cubs as Jody Davis came to bat in the 4th.
2-0 the count. 2 on, 2 down. There's a drive. Deep center. Going, and gone. A 3-run blast. A green hitting back ground by Jody Davis.
And there was more fun in the 5th inning.
There's a drive. Way back. Going. Home run. Holy Toledo.
There is one that was really hit. I'm happy for Cruz that Jody picked him up.
Oh, did he drill one down into the left field corner? It's a fair ball. Henderson's going to score. Youngblood up with it. They'll hold Bonds at third. It's a run-producing double by Cruz. Boy, did he rip one.
Mike Griffin finished up for Bird, got the save as first as a Cub. The Pirates come to town tomorrow.
In the news.
Thank you, Roy. In sports, the Bears were in Kansas City for preseason game 2. The Sting at home tuning up for the playoffs. And we've got action from the Cubs and the White Sox coming up next with Jack Brickhouse.
Well, good evening. One-run victories and extra inning victories have been hard to come by for the Cubs this year, but they got both today. Good defense and just enough hitting gave Chicago a 4-3 15-inning win over the Pittsburgh Pirates. Ty Waller broke up a 6th inning 1-1 tie for the Cubs. 1-1. Fly ball, left field, left center. Marino's there. Buckley racing for the plate, and it's going to be pretty close. He is. Wait a minute, did he miss the plate or not? Well, he's all right, Jack. 2-run score. But here's another run in. The ball getting away. And the play at third, safe for the Cubs. The Bucks came back to even things in the 8th.
Lined in the right, a base hit. That'll bring Nicosia home.
Cubs led 1-0, then they got tied, went in front 3-1, now it's 3-2. There's a skimmer to short. He kept that ball from going through, but Parker's going to keep on running. The throw will be off target. The throw to second, it'll be out at second, but the run scores, and it's a tie game.
Great Cub defense kept the game tied in the extra innings.
There's a fly ball deep to right. This will be trouble. Morales back. Morales is there. Holy Toledo, what a play!
All right, the batter now as we go to the 12th inning is Dale Berra, and there's a pretty well hit ball. That's way back there. It is caught by Steve Henderson. Wow. Fly ball very deep to left, way back. It is caught out there by Henderson, over the shoulder catch, and what a beauty. Pittsburgh gave in, though, in the 15th.
The 0-1. A bouncer to second. Bobbled. He goes through. Here comes Jody Davis. The Cubs have won it.
Well, the Cubs out-defensed the Bucks for a 4-3 win. Randy March over Rod Scurry. One other note, Lynn McLaughlin was dealt today to the White Sox for cash or a player to be named later and got in the White Sox game briefly tonight. American League. Dennis
Action, the Cubs gained a split of their twin bill with the Pirates, an extra inning loss in the opener, and a strong offensive show in the nightcap. First game, 3rd inning. Bobby Bonds pads a 2-1 Cubs lead.
Line down the left side, a fair ball. It'll take off and roll into the corner. Buckner is coming toward third. Cookie's waving him. He's still waving him. Buckner's coming home, and Bonds has doubled in Buckner. It's a 3-1 game.
In the fourth, Phil Garner cut into the Cub lead.
Up the middle, a base hit. Lacey will score easily. Going to make it a one-run game.
Bill Madlock tied things in the eighth.
Got to go get somebody, and that ball's going to bounce over everybody. A Baltimore chopper that gets Moreno home, and Foley gets to third.
And in the 11th, Tony Pena won it.
There's that right side again on a two-strike pitch, and the Pirates go ahead.
4-3, Pittsburgh in 11. Kent Jacoby the winner over Lee Smith. Now the nightcap. Bill Buckner started the scoring in the first inning.
Well hit, deep to right. That's pretty deep back there. Back. Hey!
Steve Henderson patted the lead in the third.
Fly ball, right field. Parker back. He lost the ball. It's down. Absolutely lost it in the sun. Blackwell scores. Here comes Howell, and Henderson ends up at third.
And in the fifth inning, Bobby Bonds delivers a real big hit.
That's it. Lined into left field, and with the runners going, you'll get two for sure. They may test the left fielder. They're waving Buckner. The throw's off target.
The Bucks tightened it in the sixth.
Well hit, deep to left. That's way back there. It is off the wall. It's going to be tracked down by Bonds. It's going to bring in two as both Marino and Foley score on a two-base hit high off the left center field wall by Parker. Now look out. Line drive, right center, look out. That's going to bring in another run. Scooped up by Bonds. He's going to try hard, but he still can't prevent that from being a double.
Jay Howell gained the 6-4 win for a doubleheader split. Randy Martz earned a save, and around the National League, the Redford.
Come out to Comiskey Park.
You'll have to believe it, the wheels are finally turning in an effort to close up baseball's split-season loopholes. The Commissioner's Office has presented a revamped format for the mini playoffs to the Major League Players Association. The playing field, an exciting and controversial finish to the Cubs-Dodgers game out at Wrigley Field. When it was over, the Cubs had a 4-3 win. Ken Landreau gave L.A. a 1-0 lead in the fourth.
Fly ball, well hit to right, very deep to right, way back to right. It is gone. That is a home run.
The Cubs came back in the bottom of the fourth to take a 2-1 lead.
Fly ball deep to left, that way back there. It is off the lines, and the Cubs have tied it up, and Bobby Bonds may try for three. He's going to do it. Here's the throw from Baker. He is safe. There's a ground ball to say, over to second for one. But no play because Blackwell did his job. He upended Steve Sachs.
2-1 after four, and 4-3 Dodgers make it the Cubs. The Dodgers thought they came up with a ninth-inning tie. That could be two, one, and two to ball in the dugout. It bounced back off the railing. We got a break. Baker scores. It's 4-4. Now they're going to claim interference at second. Double play. Game over. The game was indeed over, and here's that play again. Reggie Smith will ground the ball to Mike Tyson. Perfect double play ball. Mike tosses to Ivan Jesus. Pedro Guerrero tries to break up the double play. He's got his hands all over him. In fact, he tips the arm that throws the ball. Well, that's illegal. It's also a game-ending double play. 4-3, Cubs final. Mike Krukow went 7 1/3 strong innings to gain the win. Randy Martz picked up his second save. The Cubs wind up taking 2 of 3 from the Dodgers. Not a bad series at all.
The same is true at New York.
Field will end this Wednesday, but before taking to the road, the Cubs will play 3 single games with the San Diego Padres on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Game time 1:35 p.m. Get your tickets now at Wrigley Field box office or any Ticketron location, or phone 248-7900 and charge future tickets on Visa or MasterCard. That's 248-7900.
Joan, you're absolutely right.
We're going to have more,
I got in the studio early. I usually don't get in that early when I'm sitting next to Joey or McNeely. We'll have more. Don't go away, honey. We'll have more sports in just a moment. Well, good news at home and on the road, too, in baseball. You know, we'll get to that White Sox romp in just a minute, but a little closer to home, this game at Wrigley Field today. The Cubs spotted the Giants a 3-run lead, gave them a pair of home runs, then put them away in the bottom of the ninth. Chicago a 6-5 winner. The Cubs gave San Francisco a 3-run lead to work with in the fourth.
Ball 2, strike 2. Man on third, nobody out. Infield all pulled in now. DeJesus has crept up as well. Ooh, there's a wild pitch. It's going to score a run. Oh, boy. 1-2. Ground ball, back to second, into center field, goes on through. Smith is in. Whitson is in.
The Giants could have had a few more in the inning had it not been for the fielding heroics of Leon Durham. He finds the footing tough, but watch this when he comes up with a great reflex action catch here to end that fourth inning. Chicago tied it up in the fifth and went up by a pair in the sixth.
Lined into left center, base hit. Buckner will come home. The Cubs are going in front for the first time today. Lined into left field, a base hit. In the person of Jody Davis.
The 2-run Cub lead wouldn't hold, though, through the Giants' 7th and 8th.
There's a drive to right. Durham back, and it will be gone up the catwalk.
Can't do it any other way. There's a very deep fly way back to left center. Look out for this one. It is in the basket. A home run for Jeff Leonard. We have a brand new ball game, and they're playing long ball with Bill Cardle now.
A 5-5 tie left it to Gary Lavelle and Leon Durham. Bases jammed in the ninth.
And here we go. He walked in the winning run. How about that? Lavelle walked 3 men in the ninth inning.
Well, the Cubs salvage a game from the weekend set with the Giants, then 6-5 the final. Doug Capillo over Gary Lavelle. American League.
Burns office this morning, in order to get these doors open, the board must approve the teacher's contract. A new vote will be taken on that tomorrow.
And the Cubs are 14 games in a baseball second season, and they're a 500 ball club. Not bad. The Cubs did their scoring at the start and the finish of their 11-inning game with San Diego today, and they did just enough scoring to earn a 9-8 victory. The Padres scored once in the first, then Chicago struck for a half a dozen.
That's a hit to the right side. Henderson will be waved. The throw toward the plate is going to be late. The throw to third is also late. It's safe everywhere. Smashed up the middle of base hit. Tabler scores. Buckner headed for third. The throw toward third, off target. DeJesus in a hole on the count at 0-2. Boone, there's a smash. It jumps down the line. Fair ball. Buckner scores 3-0. Durham scores 4-0. Bobby Bonds is going to be waved. And DeJesus has doubled in 3 at Wrigley Field. Henderson, the batter, with a 1-1 count. Lined into left center, a base hit. DeJesus will score at 6-1. Kruko to play in front of him, headed for third. The throw toward second, off target.
San Diego hit the Cubs with a 5-run fifth and led 8-6 when Chicago batted in the ninth.
Lined into left field, a base hit. DeJesus scores. Cruz is being waved. He will score.
And in the 11th, Mike Tyson won the game.
Well hit ball. Right center's going to fall in. Hey, keep coming, Yvonne. You're going to win this game, kid. It's all the way to the track out there. The Cubs have won this game.
Winner win it they did, 9-8 the final score. Lee Smith the winner over Gary Lucas as the Cubs take the first of 3 from the Padres.
Voyager 2 has ended its rendezvous with Saturn and is embarking on a 5-year journey to Uranus. And scientists at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Pasadena say the robot ship's encounter with the ring planet was a resounding success, despite the problem with Voyager's instrument platform. It is believed the problem occurred when Voyager collided with debris from one of Saturn's rings. But despite the platform malfunction, the spacecraft has all but buried scientists in an avalanche of new pictures and data from its flight past Saturn.
I hear that. I think I hear that. Somebody is yelling out there, break up the Cubs.
I didn't hear it, Bill.
The second season is fun. We'll show you why right after this. Well, in a season that started out with almost record losses, the Cubs are now starting to find all kinds of ways to win. Leon Durham and Steve Dillard, the heroes today. The Cubs beat San Diego 9-7. Durham and Jody Davis gave the Cubs a 2-0 lead in the second.
There's a drive. Way back, right field. The park will never hold it. Gone. As we said, the hit and run has been successful with these two fellows. Well, there it is. There's a line drive to left, and it's going to sail over the field's head. Bobby Bonds, who is running, is going to be waved. Bonds is headed for the plate. He will be in there.
The Padres scored a run in the 5th and poured it on to take the lead.
Uh-oh, that's trouble. Short center field, and 2 runs are headed for the plate, and we have ourselves a new leader in this ballgame. Well hit ball, right center. That's in the gap. That's way out there to the vines. Here come a couple more in. And you'll see LaFay race around second and head for third. Here's DeJesus' throw. He is out at third. The runs count.
Durham's 2-run homer tied things, and then Kenny Reitz put the Cubs on top.
There it is. Durham did it. There's a base hit. In comes another run. The Cubs have the lead.
The 6-5 lead didn't hold, but in the 9th inning, Steve Dillard snapped a 7-all tie.
He swings and sends a fly ball to center. It's back. It is gone! Lee Toledo Dillard, who hasn't been playing much, arrived as the hero.
And so the Cubs take their 4th in a row, 9-7 the final. Lee Smith earned the victory.
September 11th with 3 games against the Montreal Expos. Then the Cubs play 2 games with Pittsburgh starting on Tuesday the 15th. Get your tickets at the Wrigley Field box office on Addison and Sheffield or Ticketron. Or phone 248-7900 and charge on Visa or MasterCard. That's 248-7900. And remember, plenty of unreserved seats go on sale the day of each game.
Comes from the older, larger industries in Illinois.
Oh, our beautiful tape of those.
Had a tremendous game today.
I tell you, every day should be Labor Day. Cubs scored 10 runs. And I'm not pulling your leg. They really scored 10 runs. And they won by scoring. You watch baseball.
I watched the baseball game.
I'm going to make a sport fan out of you yet, John.
Bill, you've been trying for 12 years.
You were crying last night because you watched the Bears. You're happy today because you watched the Cubs.
I'm no longer a Bears fan. I think I gave up Sunday.
Well, don't give up. We'll have all the sports right after this. Yes, sir, a big holiday for the Cubs, who beat St. Louis 10-0. Bobby Bonds had a big day against his old teammates. Of course, Winters and Bonds playing against one of his old teams. Bill Buckner and Jerry Morales got things started.
Looping pop out into shallow left center, dropping base hit. DeJesus will score handily, and it is 1-2-0.
Oh.
Bouncer up the middle. Buckner's going to make the turn. Cookie's going to wave him all the way. The throw toward the plate will be cut off.
Bonds teed off in the second.
Bonds drives one. Way back. Going, and gone. Home run by Bobby Bonds. His second as a Cub. And the Cubs are winging it here.
And they were flying even higher in the 6th.
2 on and 1 out. Tabler the batter. Smash through the hole. Morales will be waved. They're going to check the arm of Orge, and it'll be safe.
He dropped the ball.
He dropped the ball. There's a drive to left field. It is well hit. It is going. It is gone. A 3-run homer by Bobby Buzz. Holy Toledo. Talk about a guy who's been struggling on a road trip, almost barely able to buy a base hit, let alone an RBI. And here he is today with 2 homers and 5 ribbies. It's 8-0.
Well, Bonds was not the only hero. Buckner had 4 hits. Doug Bird went all the way for a 3-hit shutout. Ken Reitz made a nice play to get the final out as Bird improved his record to 4-2. Larry Sorensen took the loss. The series with the first-place Cardinals continues tomorrow night with our telecast. It's up.
Memorial Stadium in St. Louis. From Memorial Stadium in St. Louis, our Chicago Cubs meet the St. Louis Cardinals. Participating advertisers in tonight's game are well, hi everybody. Let's see if the Cubs can keep it going down here at St. Louis. Boy, oh boy, let's hope they don't wind up with one of those nights where they say, I wish we'd have saved a few of those we had left over from yesterday. 10 runs yesterday, and the Cubs, of course, walked away with it. They really hurt the Cardinals. The Cardinals was just full of Cardinal injuries today. Wounded feelings is more than anything else, Motto. But anyway, whenever these two ball clubs get together, it's a lot of fun. It usually is. The fur flies and the fireworks go off. I'm Jack Brickhouse. This handsome devil here is Milo Hamilton. Arnie Harris is our producer-director tonight. Batting orders for the Chicago Cubs. We'll find them. So the Cardinals are on the field now.
Back. The right fielder back, and it won't get it. It's gone.
Hey!
A home run over the right field fence by Durham. He has tied this game with one big swing. Leon Durham pounds one out of here. Gets his 7th home run of the year. It's our first hit of the game. And a towering fly ball. The right fielder went back, Lascano. But when he got to the wall, all he could do was look up and watch it go out of here.
24, left fielder Jerry Morales.
4th gopher ball off Silvio Martinez this year. All right, here's the home run. Boy, the pitch was up. So he hit a mistake, and he hit it out of here. And we are tied at 1.
Hey, how about that? All of a sudden, we're getting very, very artistic here. So I don't know. It's in medium short right center. And here's the throw to the plate, and the run scores. George Hendricks' throw just didn't have it. And the Cubs have gone out in front. Now that ball was at the best in medium to short right center field. The plate. And this ball game is all tied up.
Steve got this, and the Cardinals, well, they went into overtime. The Cubs are back to within one game of the 500 mark after winning 2 games from the first-place Cardinals. Tonight, it was a 4-3 decision in 12 innings. St. Louis led 1-0 when Leon Durham batted in the second.
Martinez working with a 1-run lead. There's a fly ball deep to right, going way back. The right fielder back, and it won't get it. It's gone.
Hey.
A home run over the right field fence by Durham. He has tied this game with one big swing.
In the third, Ivan De Jesus put the Cubs in front against Martinez.
Line drive into left field. Bobby Bonds will race home. The throw toward the plate is going to be off target.
It was 3-3 in the 12th. Steve Henderson hit the sacrifice fly to bring in the winning run. It ended 4-3. Now let's take a look at a disturbing incident tonight in Atlanta where Houston's Cesar Cedeno got upset about the comments of a fan, went into the stands after him. The fan is in the blue shirt and the beard to the left of the picture. Some of Cesar's teammates had to pull the two apart. Cedeno was ejected from the game and could face a suspension. The fan has agreed not to press charges. Now on the scoreboard. The
inning.
Look at this. This is some message. Take a look at it. Diane, will you marry me? John. Diane, will you marry me? John. You know something, Milo, Lou? Milo, you and I are going to offer 2 tickets to the Cub game of their choice for the people who will give Diane the best answer for this one. Help Diane write an answer to John. 25 words or less.
And you and I are the sole judges.
The sole judges will be Milo and Jack. Just send them to us at the ballpark or WGN in Chicago. 25 words or less. Diane, will you marry me? John. Let's help Diane answer this guy. 25 and 2 tickets to the Cub game of your choice. Okay?
Lou, stop writing. You're not eligible.
Oh.
Oh, he's eligible. Let him in. Okay. He's a romanticist.
Okay, tell us about Shirley, good kid. Cubs have swept the
Got it.
What
Beautiful.
a catch. Holy Toledo, what a way to end the game and end the series.
Ooh.
He went back and had to leap, and look at this again.
Watch this.
This is the play that's going to bring us home a game and a half out of the lead. Durham's still going back. Now he's going to have to leap way up and bring it down. What a catch and what a way to end it. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, a walk. They leave 2. Boy, oh boy.
Again, as Bobby Bonds continues to play red-hot baseball, let's get the story.
Never know, something like that can do it. The Cubs went on to get 3 runs. There's a drive, way back into left field, going, and gone. A pavilion home run for Bobby Bonds.
High fly, deep to left center. That's pretty well back there. Back. It is. It's a home run. Hey, he did it.
How about that?
Woo-wee.
So Bobby Bonds continues his red-hot hitting with those 2 home runs. Let's take a look now at some of the other scores tonight as we run down the scoreboard.
The Sox with a tough, bitter loss.
They're the best. And 2 runs.
Make it 4 in a row for our Cubs. A good game today. They opened their short homestand on a high note with a 6-5 win over the Montreal Expos. The Cubs got most of their offense in the very first inning off Expos starter Ray Burris.
To the right side. De Jesus coming around third. He will keep on coming. The throw toward the plate will be late. Runner at first is going. Lined in the center field, a base hit. Buckner will score to make it 2-0. Durham is racing for third. He will make it. The 1-0 to Kenny. A high pop. Shallow left. Shortstop out. Spires play to make. The left fielder collides with him, and they're going to send Durham toward home. He's going to be safe.
And the Cubs got 4 in the inning and led 5-0 when Tim Raines got 2 of them back in the third.
A high drive to deep right center. That is really tagged, and it's going to be in the front row. A home run for Raines.
In the 5th, Ken Reitz up the Cubs lead 6-2.
Pretty well hit, deep to left. Back she goes. Back, 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 back. Hey, hey! A home run for Kenny Reitz.
That lead was just won by the 9th, but the Cubs eked it out.
Ready again, runner going, 3-2, struck out, throw down, he's going to be out! A game-ending double play!
Hey!
Strike out in the front end!
Oh, brother! Mike Griffin gained the Cub win. Willie Hernandez the save as the Cubs take the first of 3 from Montreal. Now in the American League.
Outs away from a no-hitter in the bottom of the 9th inning. The Yankee fans are standing O for him in the bottom of the 9th. Merle Harmon, Bucky Dent, Ron Luciano at Yankee Stadium in New York, where Bob Ojeda has 3 outs to go. He has retired 22 Yankees in a row, has not given up a hit. And Rick Cerrone is batting for Dennis Worth in the bottom of the 9th inning. Ojeda, who is behind to the 8th, is behind to the 9th to the first hitter. 1 ball and no strikes. Hitter, and the crowd is with him now. He's behind 2 balls, no strikes.
It's really nice to see the fans get behind them. They know what's happening, and the New York people, they're good baseball fans.
Strike 1. 2 balls and a strike. Rick Cerrone. Drive to right field. Can Evans get it? He cannot. There goes the no-hitter. Cerrone is on his way to second, and he is in there with a standing double. The thoughts going through the mind of Bob Ojeda as he watched Evans try to get this ball. Just missed it.
Great play. Great try.
The no-hitter goes in the bottom of the 9th inning. You'd think he did not know about the no-hitter and hoping, and Evans couldn't quite reach it. So a bit of history in the life of Bob Ojeda. Now the story becomes win the ball game.
There's a slow roller. This is going to be a close play, maybe. Rick gets it over there just in time. The big guy is a lot more agile and faster than he looks. And Russell, you can't teach this play. You can either do it or you don't do it. Nice work, Rick. No runs. 1 hit. No errors. And a man left. And now we go to the Cub half of number 3. No score at Wrigley Field.
Gentlemen. And the politicians say if you think this one is big, just wait until next year. Elizabeth Brackett, WGN News.
On Fan Appreciation Day, the Cubs say thanks to the greatest fans in the world. There'll be plenty of prizes, including a new car, a sport truck, and trips to the Cubs spring training camp and the World Series. Fan Appreciation Day is Saturday, September 26th. Entry blanks or ticket stubs enter you in the drawings. No purchase necessary. Call 248-7900 for ticket information. Free entry blanks and details at Wrigley Field Information Office. That's Saturday, September 26th.
That phone call was for in just a minute. But just when you thought the Cubs were out of it, they got back on the race today with a 4-3 victory over St. Louis. Pitcher Bob Force gave the Cardinals an early lead.
He's had 4 hits this year, all singles, driven in a couple of runs. And there's a line drive to left center. Off the ivy. The run's going to be in, and it's going to be a double for Forsch. Here's when I was telling you how good a hitter he was. I didn't expect him to step up and prove it.
The Cubs had gone scoreless for 27 innings. Then Ty Waller batted in the 5th.
There's a well-hit ball deep to left. That's way back there. Hey! A home run for Waller. First one. How about that?
Bobby Bonds tried to match Waller's feet with the bases loaded in the 7th.
Here's the 0-1. There's a drive. There she goes. Way back. Going, and caught in the ivy on an unbelievable play by Gene Roof. Holy Toledo. Highway robbery in the ivy at Wrigley Field.
Great catch. In the next inning, Leon Durham hit one that nobody could catch.
Pretty well hit, deep to center. Hendricks going way back. He's still going back. It's a home run. Hey! A home run on the green. A center field home run by Durham. We have a brand new game.
And Jerry Morales won it in the 9th against Mark Littell.
Here's the 1-2. Fly ball, left field. Dillard will tag. He's headed home. He is safe. The Cubs win. The Cubs have won it with a thrilling come-from-behind win over their most intense rival, the St. Louis Cardinals.
A beautiful game. The Cubs host the Mets tomorrow.
Playoffs and a possibility of a World Series. It's really phenomenal, but the Cubs are playing baseball right now.
This town would fall over if that happened.
Oh, it certainly would. It'd be almost bigger than the soccer ball, right?
We'll have all the sports for you right. Yes, sir, the Cubs continue to win without getting a whole lot of offense. Today they beat the Mets 2-1 at Wrigley Field with a pair of runs in the 4th inning.
Ground ball, a one-hopper, look out. They've got the Jesus in the rundown. Here's the throw to the plate. And Stern drops the ball on the collision. And the Cubs have a run. There's a ground ball, and it's a base hit, and here comes Buckner. Gardenhire could not get a glove down fast enough to handle that one.
Mike Krukow handled things pretty well until the 9th inning. He struck out 6, gave up only 4 hits, 2 of them in the final inning when the Mets scored their only run. Dick Tidrow came on to get the save. Now, the same 2 teams again tomorrow at Wrigley Field. The Sox...
The Cubs have been named the hitless wonders this week, but those bats came alive Thursday in a 10-9 win over the Mets. The game was tied at 2 when rookie Ty Waller batted in the 3rd inning.
Big hit, deep, back she goes, back. Hey! Another home run for Waller. Woo, boy. 3 runs in for the Cubs.
Leon Durham jumped on the home run parade with a man on in the 5th.
Oh, high fly, deep to right center. Way back. Hey! Atta boy, Leon. All right, 2 more in for the Cubs.
But the Mets came back as the Cubs committed 4 errors in the game. This one by Bill Buckner allowed 2 runs to score. It was 7-5 when Ellis Valentine batted.
Running into trouble here. There's a drive to left center, and the ball's going to be a 3-run homer.
It put the Mets in front 8-7, and it looked as if the Cubs had let a golden opportunity get away. But this game was far from over. Jody Davis proved that.
There's a drive way back into center. Going, and gone. It's up on the hitting background and dead straight away center. Jody Davis has taken Orozco downtown. His 4th home run of the year.
The Cubs let the lead get away again. Valentine batted in the 8th.
That's a well-hit ball left center. It is a base hit. Look out now. This could bring Baylor on in. He's being waved in by Cotier. This is going to be a brand new ball game again.
But in the 9th, Bobby Bonds was the hero.
High fly, deep to left. Back she goes. Back. Hey! Atta boy, buddy!
Raleigh Eastwick got the final out.
Here comes the 2-2. He struck it out. The ball game is over. The Cubs have won it in another one of those come-from-behind battles with the New York Mets.
And that victory moved the Cubs into sole possession of third place in the National League East. They remain 3 games behind Montreal when the Expos won Thursday night. The Cubs host the Phillies on Friday. More on the National League race in a moment.
It's the 1981 Honda Accord. With front-wheel drive, 4-wheel independent suspension, a 5-speed transmission, and rack and pinion steering. We've tested the Accord under grueling road conditions you wouldn't encounter in a month of Sundays.
First, you can't take your eyes off it. Then you can't take your hands off it. Accord, at your Chicagoland, Northwest Indiana Honda dealer.
You want to meet a good Cub fan? Meet the governor, Jim Thompson, because I saw you at St. Louis last year with 50,000 fans at St. Louis. You stood out there and said, I can't help it. No matter if I am here, I'm a Cub fan.
Address system. I was standing at home plate. We were honoring Jack Buck. I started out, I was born a Cub fan. I got that much out and the booze started rolling in. And I said, I'll die a Cub fan. I was lost in the booze, and the state police with me said, you almost died right out there.
Wouldn't be an opening day without you, Governor. What a wonderful day.
Hey, I wouldn't miss this. I told somebody down in the field before the game started, so many problems in the state of Illinois, but you know what? The minute I leave this ballpark, they're going to be there.
Yeah.
They'll be there tonight. They'll be there tomorrow. We'll probably end up solving most of them. But if I can't take a couple hours out to watch the Cubs open this 1981 season and go on to the World Series, which they're going to do, then I don't want to be in politics anymore.
That's what it's all about. Thank you. Thank you very much, Governor Jim Thompson.
Thank you, Jack. Lee Mazzilli's the batter with a 1-ball, 1-strike count. Backs him off the plate with that one, makes it 2-1. Mazzilli bounced to Buckner in the first inning. Kingman's on deck, then it'll be Staub. Fouled out of play. Blackwell and Reach taking a look at it. Just kind of checking what it looks like up that way. With that sun and the shadow that comes over the left field side of the upper deck, and it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Mets and Cubs, no score. 4th inning, Wrigley Field, opening day. Little pop off here to the left side, but sliced it foul. Souvenir time down there, and Mazzilli checking that bat handle. 2-2. Joey Amalfitano with his third base coach Cookie Rojas in the background. This is Joey's team. That's a ball. Last year took over after the All-Star break, so this was his spring training. This is a team that he had some input in with general manager Bob Kennedy as to the deals that were made. Do a payoff on Mazzilli. Their 1 hit belongs to Doug Flynn. It was a double. Russell has walked 1. That was Trevino in the second. He has struck out 1. That was Kingman in the second. Lined foul. Boy, he had a charge in that bat, but got around too quickly and pulled it foul. Holding 3-2. San Francisco will host the Padres tonight at Candlestick. The Dodgers and Houston, 2 clubs that figure to battle the wire in the West, will open at Dodger Stadium tonight. Cincinnati, Atlanta, Philadelphia, and St. Louis not playing today. Fouled off out of play again. The White Sox will open at Boston. That will be yours on Channel 9 tomorrow. Kansas City, Baltimore not playing. And California will be at Seattle tonight. So with the scores we've given you and a look at the teams that are scheduled tonight and the ones that are off, you're up to date. Fouled off. He's making Russell work right here as he performs as the leadoff hitter in the 4th inning for New York. Now there's a contrast we're going to have for you. In the sun, boy, look at that. Now back in the shade, you got to have a sweater or a light coat on. Fly ball left center. That ball's pretty well hit, and Henderson can't get it. It's in the basket for a home run. And Mazzilli didn't even hit that ball well. It almost looked like he was batting defensively. And Mazzilli has hit an opposite field home run into the left center field basket. Henderson got back, hoping the ball was going to come down just inside the basket toward the outfield grass side, but it's in there for a home run, and we're going to take another look. See, Henderson thinks he's got a play right there, leaping up, but that wire basket caught it, and that goes as a home run, and it's 1-0. The Mets break on top. Kingman takes ball one. He was a strikeout victim in the second inning. Struck him out on a 3-2 pitch. 1-0 New York. Kingman 0 for 1 and takes a strike. 1 ball and 1 strike. Kingman, who thrilled a lot of fans some days, who, whoa, chopping down a tree, and he comes up empty. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Staub will be next. Mazzilli led it off with an opposite field homer into the left center field basket. Struck him out again. 2 strikeouts for Russell. They've both been on King Kong. Rusty Staub in the second inning hit a sinking line drive that DeJesus took right off the top of the grass on the edge of the outfield. It was a beautiful play by Ivan. 1 ball and no strikes to Staub. Alex Trevino, their starting catcher today, is on deck off to the right. Wrigley Field jam-packed opening day. Tomorrow is a scheduled open date. We'll be right back Saturday and Sunday with these same Mets. Then we take off on a long road trip. 2 balls and no strikes. There's a drive to right. That ball's pretty well hit, and it is going to be off the top of the wall and in play. Durham timed it as well as he could. I think they're going to argue that that ball went in the basket. Joe Torre's coming out, along with his first base coach, Darren Johnson. Rusty Staub is saying, I thought I had a home run. Now the umpires are getting together, and now they say that it did go out and came back on, and that'll bring Joey Amalfitano racing out. We might have a little rhubarb right here. Let's see on a replay if we can pick up just what did happen out there. Now Durham will go back, and just as Henderson did on the other side, will try to time it and get back up there. Yeah, a fan touched it and it came back on. So it's a home run by Rusty Staub. But the confusion is, if they knew it at all, why didn't they know it immediately? Here it is again. In other words, if their explanation that a fan hit it is indeed their explanation, why did it take them all the time to run in and explain it rather than waving home run immediately? Well, Joey's had his say. The play does back up the umpire's call, but they got themselves into the argument for allowing the time to go on instead of circling that hand and saying it's out of here. Came in and left Staub standing at second base until the Mets came out and objected to the call. This is a center field line drive that Thompson will back up and get, and Trevino is out, and it is 2 away. So 2 home runs in the inning. It is 2-0, and it'll bring up Brooks, the third baseman. Brooks in the second inning bounced to second. So Russell, who had literally coasted through 3 innings, touched by the gopher ball here. 1 for Mazzilli to lead off the inning. Then with 1 away, Staub hit 1. 2-0 New York. Hit him on the fist. Bouncer to Strain to Buckner. Second to first gets Brooks, and the side has been retired. But New York comes up with 2 runs on 2 hits. Home runs by Mazzilli and Staub. No errors and nobody left. We have played into the middle of the fourth. New York 2, the Cubs nothing.
For $80,000, you can buy a truck that doesn't use any gas, a diesel. But if you don't need 18 wheels, then buy the new Toyota diesel. Its standard 7-foot bed carries a full 1,000-pound payload. A fuel-efficient 5-speed is standard. It's built from the ground up to be a truck, not a car. And for the price of one of these, you could buy 11 Toyota diesels. The new Toyota diesel. It's what a diesel truck should be. Diesel.
Toyota. Oh, wow! What a view from atop McDonald's biggest game ever!
Yeah.
It's a $10 million Build a Big Mac game!
Well, I can even see some big winners, look!
Yeah!
There have been hundreds of Build a Big Mac winners in the Chicagoland area. Congratulations to Franklin Harris, who won $25,000. There will be thousands of other winners. Maybe you.
Thousands of cash prizes.
Van Dyke.